Today I'm going to show you how I, a complete POE 1 noob, made 2 mirrors in the first 5 days of the Phrecia event before I even got my 4th ascendancy. The strategy to start was simple. Rush heist to make some currency, then start flipping. I blew through campaign using this OP ascendancy Malevolent Strands, which gives you like 150 flat chaos damage on your attacks. It completely trivialized the campaign and made it so my dumbass actually looked like I knew what I was doing. The beautiful thing here was that this was the only ascendancy point I really needed, and I didn't need to finish all the acts, just get to level 60 to start heists. This way I don't kill Katava and lose a bunch of resistances, and the other ascendancy points don't really matter. The plan was to farm heist for the whole first day, and build up enough currency for day 2 to start flipping tamings, which is this magnificent ring here. I have one confession to make though. I am actually a turbo lucker dog because I dropped this Enlighten on Act 6 and sold it for a div. This, along with the money I made from 3 hours of heist farming, put me at 1.5 divs, which was more than enough to get started on those tamings. The method is simple. We buy the components for way less than the taming is worth and sell the tamings for a massive profit. There is a gamba component as well because based on how well the ring is rolled, we can profit anywhere from half a div to 4 divs per ring. I started doing this around hour 8, and 16 hours in we looked like this. It was so much profit I stayed up all night flipping tamings for around 14 hours total. In the first day, I made around 40 div, and before I went to bed, I tried to invest all my money into different things, like Mirror Shard cards, Svelin, Blessed Offering, and Alba Corruption. Day 2 starts with me realizing I made a huge mistake. Nothing I invested in went up in value, and many actually decreased in value. More importantly, many of my investments, like the Svelin, were super illiquid, so it took me hours of valuable flipping time to sell off my dumbass investments. I continued flipping the tamings, but at this point in the game, many other players had the same idea and the currency to do it, so the method started to become way less profitable. I'm officially closing the tamings tabs. End of an era. The problem here is that crafting in POE 1 is so extensive. There's Alteration Flask crafting, where you use Alteration Orbs to spam Flask until you get 2 perfect modifiers. There's Essence crafting, where you spam Essences, which are like Chaos Orbs, but they reroll every stat and guarantee 1 modifier, like Chaos Resistance here. There's Fossil crafting, which you can use to reroll all modifiers on an item with a higher likelihood to hit certain modifiers, like more defensive rolls and no life rolls. And these are just 3 methods out of maybe dozens of different ways to craft in POE 1. Of the 3 I just mentioned, I tried all of them to varying success. I Alteration crafted Flasks that I thought were good but didn't sell. I Chaos Essence spammed the best belt base in the game to maybe 5 div profit, but it was slow and the prices changed drastically. I tried fossil crafting on these cluster gems and made maybe 5 to 10 div profit on them, but they were expensive to craft and really slow to sell. I was still making money, but the more money you have, the more money you should make, right? That was definitely not the case for me. Day 1, I turned my 1 div into almost 50, but day 2, I floundered and only turned that 50 into 70. I needed a new strat, and I needed to do it before everyone else had the money or knowledge to do it before me. On day 3, I kept experimenting with different crafting methods and items, but the only craft that had the potential to take me to a mirror were Necrotic body armors, and I went all in on those. It took me most of the day to figure out exactly how to craft these, but once I did, it was super simple. All we need is an eye level 86 base, and it had to be 6-link. By day 3, the POE 1 players who were willing to spend more than a couple divs on armor only cared about 6-links. I learned this the hard way. Now that we have the right base, we want to fossil craft. This just means putting these little yellow Doritos into these little sockets, creating a new orb. For example, this orb allows me to not roll any life modifiers, which we don't want, and allows me to roll defense modifiers at a 10x higher rate. They only cost 3 chaos each. We spam these on 6-link armors and profit enormously. I made probably 30 div doing this in 4.5 hours and went to bed ready to finish the challenge the next day. Remember when I said we needed to figure out our next method and figure it out fast? Well, we weren't fast enough. By the time I woke up the next day, the entire 6-link Necrotic chest market was absolutely flooded. Gear I was selling for 10 div the day before was worth 5 now, and gear that I was selling for 5 div was worth just as much as I paid for the 6-link base. But I had one more play in the back pocket, and that was fracturing orbs. These things are absolutely broken. If you use this on a rare with 4 or more affixes, it permanently fractures one of the affixes, making it so it can never be removed from your gear. And GG. Yes! This allowed me to create 6-link Necrotic bases with a max tier, max roll affix on the gear that could never be removed. I did this with Spell Suppression, which is the most valuable and hard to roll stat on the chess piece. The downside is that it costs around 4 div per attempt and has a 1 in 4 chance of succeeding. With this base, we were able to craft this absolute beauty. That's the 5 best stats on a chess piece, with 4 being the max tier and the 5th being second to max tier. Challenge completed, right? It was the best chess piece on the market by far, but I couldn't find anyone to buy it. We ended the 4th day with pretty much just enough money to buy the mirror, but only if the armor sells. While we waited for the chess piece to sell, we fractured and crafted a few more necrotic armors with similar stats and sold them for a hefty amount. Although we sold them for a lot of money, the price to craft them was incredibly high, so we only really profited around 40 or 50 div. We did some Adorn Jewel gambling. Placed them together like a puzzle? Are you serious? Oh! I hit a 94! We bricked one and hit big for the other for about 50 div profit. Ultimately, we lowered the price of our necrotic armor to 80 div and sold it there. We bought the mirror for around 210 div and had some money to spare. But I know what you're thinking. The title of the video says 2 mirrors in 5 days. It's day 5 and I only have 1. Here's the thing. In POE 1, there are things called div cards, and they can be quite valuable, like 50 divine valuable. And the thing about div cards in POE 1 is that you can gamble them with essentially 50-50 odds to either completely destroy them or to double them. Well, after selling all of our shit to buy the mirror, we had enough for one of those 50 divine House of the Mirror cards, and we went to Vegas. All right, come on, guys. 50 div. 3, 2, 1, go. Yes! Mama didn't raise no bitch. 3, 2, 1, go. 3, 2, 1, go. Oh my god! Oh my god! We hit and we hit big. We turned our 50 div into 250 div and bought another mirror. And with that, we finished our challenge. 2 mirrors from scratch in 5 days as an absolute Path of Exile 1 noob.